Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Hercules, the animated series. This is based on the feature animated movie, Hercules, from Disney. Yeah, of course. This is from 1998. It's only one season, but it's 65 episodes in one season. Yeah, that's a lot. Man. But yeah, they're all about 23, 24, 25 minutes long each. It's goofy, silly fun. It's got plenty of pop culture references, both in regards to character and just certain modern situations, even though this is firmly set in ancient Greece. There's also, they make tons of ancient Grecian jokes, like jokes based on history from that time. I'm no expert on ancient Greek mythology or history myself, but I know enough that a lot of them make perfect sense as jokes. But if you don't get them, you don't get them. Yes, this is positioned towards kids, but for adults, if you know anything about any of this stuff, it's hilarious. One of the few modern jokes I can even remember properly is at one point there's a person who's acting as an aide to a certain high-ranking official, and it's George Stephanopoulos. It's not played by him, I don't think, but it's the guy's name is Stephanopoulos. It's just a Greek name, and the character looks like George Stephanopoulos, and it's just funny. I watched about 4 episodes. Actually 4 episodes. Yeah, I watched Hercules and the Apollo mission, which is strongly features Hades. By the way, Hades played by James Woods. A majority of the cast from the film has been retained for this. Now, Hades can't be the villain in every episode. Ares takes on that role here and there. And a lot of Hades' minions, played by Matt Frewer and Bobcat Goldthwait. They play a part, and Hades sort of shows up, makes some cameos in certain things. But for the most part, this is everybody except for Zeus and Phil, which is played by Danny DeVito, and Zeus, which was played by, I can't remember his name, but he's an iconic actor. I'm not going to waste any time thinking about it. You know who I'm talking about if you've seen the original film. The series, though, stars Tate Donovan, who plays a younger teenage version of himself, which is he's a hero in training. Hercules has had a series of trials leading to his rise as a hero. I don't recall any of these being anything like Hercules trials. Let's just say most of Hercules trials probably wouldn't work on the Disney Channel or work on Disney Plus. Anybody who ever makes a real a movie based on the real trials of Hercules is probably going to get an X rating. Let's just say that it's pretty messed up. The entire story of Hercules in Greek mythology is pretty super messed up. We're not going to go into that. But hey, that's mythology. That's Greek, Greek gods for you. They pretty much did whatever they wanted. But yeah, here we have Hades as the main villain. We have Hercules and the King of Thessaly, where he gets put on the throne of Thessaly by accident when the leader there doesn't find his minions, his people, to be too loyal, and so he dresses up as Zeus. And Zeus does not like that, and the not too bright people of Thessaly, well, they decide that the real Zeus said that guy's fake, but his son here is the one who's gonna take over things for us. They're not super bright. In fact, they made the guy who's articulating all this have a very red neck in a very not subtle visual reference there. And then there's and Hercules has to work all that out. Hercules in The Secret Weapon, he is tasked by Athena, the goddess of wisdom, who's played by, I can't get her name right. You would know her from Frasier. What's her name? By the way, most of the cast of Frasier shows up in this. I'm going to go down a list at some point. Jane Leaves versus Ares, and they're tasked to get this ultimate weapon, which happens to be a talking bow, which I think also fits into Greek mythology. And Hercules is tasked by both Ares and Athena to do their bidding, and he's not supposed to deny them, but what does he do in the end? And then the fourth one is Hercules and the Assassin, where he teams up with an assassin, an Amazon assassin, played, what was her name? Tempest? Yeah. I'm not gonna, I can't remember her name offhand, but I'm going to say her name in a moment here. It is, this movie, this series, I should say, has 172 voice acting credits in it, and there are actors who do multiple voices. One of the first voices you hear is the narrator. And the narrator, my brain, Robert Stack, Unsolved Mysteries, and a bunch of other things. He has this very serious tone. Then the chorus, the Greek chorus always chimes in, and it's basically a bunch of, it's like a black gospel choir in togas who cut in, no, that's boring. Get to the real things. We want to hear about Hercules. And they're awesome. And every once in a while they, I'm pretty sure almost every episode, at least 3 out of 4 of the episodes, they do a song like partway through the show. The music in this is not just the Greek chorus who help explain things through song, but also it's the theme song sounds like it's the opening theme for a talk show, a late night talk show for with David Letterman. That might be coincidental because Paul Schaefer is one of the first characters you see in the opening sequence, and he plays a character in this as well. And he was also in the movie too. So it feels like a cross between the saxophone based music of ABC Friday Night Lineup have mixed with late night talk show theme music from the 90s. It's freaking awesome. And there are, like I was saying here, there are so many voices in this, 172 actors listed. I'm not going to say all of them, but you're going to think I am, because it's a long freaking list. We have Tate Donovan as Hercules, French Stewart as Icarus, his funny, wacky sidekick, and Sandra Bernhard as Cassandra, his female sidekick, who she just tells the future and makes sarcastic asides throughout this thing. She's kind of reserved and checked out, and she doesn't care about what's mostly going on. Robert Costanzo plays Phil this time around instead of Danny DeVito. James Woods is Hades. Robert Stack, I said. There's Diedrich Bader as Adonis. Bobcat Goldthwait, Matt Frewer, Frank Welker, who is in everything. If there's an animal voice or whatever, animal noise, he's the voice of Pegasus and everything else. Frank Welker is in every single cartoon you've ever seen. That's just the way it is. Dan Castellaneta, Homer Simpson, and in this he plays Homer. Not an accident, but he does a number of different characters throughout this, but he plays 2 different Homers, Homer the reporter and just Homer. I have not seen that episode yet, but I'm going to tell you right now, in case you skip into the end here, I'm adding this to my list because I'm going to finish this series at some point. It is hilarious, and I want to hear every one of these voices at some point, because some of them are one-off appearances, and this is the biggest cast, the biggest cast of famous people. And if you don't know who voice actors are and you don't care, then this is going to be super boring to you. But I have to go through this. I have to go through at least most of these. Eric Idle from Monty Python does a number of voices. He's one of the first characters you see on screen beyond, the theme song, and once the narrator's done. Oh God, Mike Connors, Tress MacNeille. She's a Simpsons veteran. Jodie Benson, The Little Mermaid, is Helen of Troy. Kevin Michael Richardson plays Hephaestus. He's a weapons maker. Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. He plays Poseidon. Let's see, Jane Leeves, I said. John Cassier, Andrew Martin, Brad Garrett. Every player loves Raymond, among other things. David Hyde Pierce from Frasier. Jennifer Jason Leigh plays Tempest. She was the Amazon warrior. Lisa Kudrow from Friends. Fred Willard plays Vic. Fred Willard, the late Fred Willard. Kathy Lee Gifford. Alice Ghostly. Jim Cummings, of course, Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. Thomas Lennon shows up as Atlas. Melissa Manchester. Stuart Pankin. Craig Ferguson. Rob Paulson, which is Pinky and the Brain, and all those others, and Animaniacs and such. Richard Simmons shows up as Physidipus. It's a joke. Jim Belushi, John Cryer, Perry Gilpin, also from Frasier. Merv Griffin plays Merv Griffin in this at some point. Nicholas Turturro, Steven Weber, David Cross plays Fear. Elizabeth Daly, Michael Dorn, Worf from Star Trek Next Generation. Linda Hamilton from Terminator is Nemesis. Jonathan Katz from Dr. Katz is Morpheus. Larry Miller, Kathy Najimy, Eric Stoltz, Patrick Warburton, of course, is in this. Stephen Wright, the comedian, stand-up comedian, the deadpan. Stephen Wright, Tom Arnold, Keith David. Keith David is Apollo. In this moment, he doesn't look anything like Keith David, but the moment you hear Apollo speak, you know it's Keith David. Ethan Embry, That Thing You Do. You got Georgia Engel. Jess Harnell, Wayne Knight, Leslie Mann, Reba McEntire is Artemis, John O'Hurley, also from Seinfeld, Susan Egan, Harvey Korman, Ed Asner, David James Elliott, Garrison Keillor as Odin. Yes, we get some Norse gods in here. William H. Macy is in this as well. Vince Vaughn plays Loki. David James Elliott plays Thor. So just so you know, that rounds out Odin, Thor, and Loki. Pamela Adlon shows up in one episode. Bobby from King of the Hill. Jennifer Aniston, Barbara Barry, Val Benton, Clancy Brown, of course, does voices everywhere. Highlander. Tia Carrera. Jeez, is it going on? Lacey Chabert. Tim Conway. Can't have Harvey Korman without Tim Conway. Jeez. Jane Curtin. Dom DeLuise plays Bacchus. How perfect is that? Chris Elliott plays Triton. Carrie Elwes is Paris of Troy. Will Ferrell. Garion, whatever. Will Ferrell shows up. Miguel Ferrer. Harvey Fierstein. Rebecca Gayheart. Buffy herself, Sarah Michelle Gellar, plays Andromeda. Louis Gossett Jr., Gilbert Gottfried. Gilbert Gottfried was in the last episode, in the 4th episode, as Cleon. David Allen Greer, Estelle Harris, Terry Hawks, Florence Henderson. Brady Bunch. Keep going. Dom Herrera. Oh, jeez. Robert Keeshan, Captain Kangaroo. Captain Kangaroo appears in this. Carrie Kenny. Emerald Lagasse. Eugene Levy. Vicki Lewis. Heather Locklear plays nymphs, of course. Wink Martindale plays Sphinx Martindale. Okay. Idina Menzel, let it go, people. Idina Menzel, Elsa. Long before she was Elsa. A good 10 years. 10? God, was it 10 years? 10 years before Reggie Miller, basketball player. Charles Napier, Wayne Newton, Sherry O'Terry, Joe Pantoliano, Mandy Patinkin, Regis Philbin, Dan Patrick, the sports announcer, Jeremy Piven, Annie Potts from Ghostbusters, Paula Poundstone, Charles Nelson Riley as King Minos, Carl Reiner, RuPaul, David Schramm, which he's done a bunch of things. You may not recognize his name, but you know who he is once you see him. I'm going to skip over this one just real quick. Ben Stein plays Trivia. Okay? Jerry Stiller, of course. Cree Summer, George Takei, Jeffrey Tambor, Stephen Tobolowsky, Jim Varney, Earl, Joey Lauren Adams from Chasing Amy, Michael Ian Black, Jon Favreau, Mr. Iron Man director and Mandalorian guy, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Toby Huss, Tom Kenny, Mr. SpongeBob SquarePants, Richard Lewis plays Neurosis. Come on. Yes, this is going on really long. Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, Jean Smart, she was recently Laurie on The Watchmen. Betty White makes an appearance as Hestia, and one of my favorites here, William Shatner as Jason of the Argonauts. So, yeah, that is just the craziest, most packed cast. If you recognize half of those names, I think you're in for a treat. This is something I did not expect from this show. To me, the animation is not the greatest. It's kind of roughly done. It's all cell animated. It's not anything advanced or anything, but it's passable, and it does try to do a lot for probably with the budget they had for it. And they do a lot. There's a chase scene, and there's metamorphosis, and it's all lots of supernatural stuff in this. So yeah, it's something to take in. If you like the movie, I'm sure that and you haven't seen this series, I'm sure you're gonna like this. I'm sure you would. I mean, and I haven't seen the movie that I recall. I thought for sure I did, but if I haven't, I still knew who the main characters were, of course, and I also know a little bit about Greek mythology. So I knew enough to get the humor of it and appreciate it for what it is. So even if you haven't seen the movie, and I would suggest seeing the movie before you watch this, but you don't have to. Even if you don't, I think you'd appreciate it. I think, at least if you have a taste for the massive cast doing one-off voice work for a cartoon that was mostly forgotten. So anyway, yeah, that is Hercules, the animated series. It's on my list now, and I'm going to end up watching the rest of it someday, like all the others, but that I chose to put on my list. But holy cow, this surprised me with its humor and the quality of the amount of actors that are in this thing. Man. And I thought yesterday's the teacher's pet thing had a lot of voices. Holy crap, this thing outdoes it by like 100 times over. So, all right, let's pick tomorrow's episode before it gets too late here. 263, staying in the area. Oh, 263. Oh, I don't know what this is. It's another documentary. We've gone so long without having documentary specials or series. We've done 3 in the last week. Flamingos and Disney holiday park things. But this one, I don't recognize the name, and I'm going to check to make sure. I do this every time anyway, but I'm going to check to make sure after I stop this video whether this is even on here, because, wow, I don't know what this is. If it's not, well, you'll see me here in a few seconds. It is Into the Okavango. I hope I'm saying that right. So yeah, Into the Okavango. If it's a series, we'll watch a few episodes. If it's a single episode thing, we'll watch the whole thing, as we do, as I do. Anyway, man, 20 minutes listing all the names you've ever heard of in your life. All right, I'll see you back here tomorrow with Into the Okavango on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. See you then. Bye.